When I discovered the hidden truth behind my father's $950K gift, my life changed forever. Lily thought she knew everything about her father, Jack. The stoic Vietnam veteran raised her with the weight of silent lessons, the stakes of hard work and grit ingrained deep in her being. Yet, nothing could prepare her for the day that shattered her understanding of who he was. After an exhausting shift at Mom's diner, the worn linoleum floor sticky beneath her tired feet, Jack's revelation came like a thunderclap. Nearly $1 million his gift, he insisted. A lifeline out of the suffocating cycle of poverty. But in his eyes, Lily saw something more, a flicker of expectation, twisted around the shadow of unfulfilled dreams. As she stood there, mouth agape, the diner's evening crowd still bustling behind her, the scent of burnt coffee and grease lingered in the air, but all she could focus on was the swirling confusion in her chest. Why so much, Dad? The question almost felt like a challenge. Jack hadn't shared much about his past, and she felt the weight of unspoken burdens hanging between them. She could almost hear their winding breaths, his from years of anxiety, hers from a life spent championship cinema's quiet despair. Because you deserve a shot, Lily, Jack murmured, the words heavy with longing. Not just for you, but for me. The restless townsfolk whispered behind her while she considered bitter rivalries that loomed in the diner, old friends now turned enemies. Success was seen as a privilege for the lucky, and she was not among them. But with this monumental gift, she felt hope blossoming painfully alongside desperation, like the wildflowers battling against the asphalt. Could she really chase a future where she wasn't just the waitress, the tired single mama of two? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as she began to grasp the possibilities, a summer storm descended upon Maplewood, relentless and furious. Rain poured down in sheets, knocking fiercely against the diner's windows, and soon, the floor below her felt slick with water as the floodwaters rose. Panic ensued. She felt trapped in a whirl of uncertainty, each wave threatening to drown her hopes. Losing Mom's diner would mean falling deeper into the darkness. In the aftermath of the chaos, as the diner fell apart and her plans unraveled, Lily found a dusty trunk in the corner of Jack's garage. Curiosity piqued, she pried it open, revealing secrets wrapped in old letters. Words unfurled in front of her like threads binding them together. Jack had dreams too, ambitions orphaned by past choices and silent sacrifices. With every letter she read, she could almost hear Jack's haunting regrets, urging her to embrace her voice, her destiny. Days turned to nights, hearts battered, and she found herself at the crossroads, honor his sanctified sacrifices or carve her own path. Just as she balled her hands into fists of determination, the door creaked, revealing a stranger from Jack's past. Lily, he said, holding a connection to her father that could change everything. I know the truth behind the gift. You need to hear this. She clutched the letters tightly, uncertainty flooding her veins. All her choices hung in the balance, her heart racing. Would she be able to understand the dreams they both shared, or would the weight of unfulfilled expectations crush her? The path ahead lay shrouded in mystery, her future echoing the promise of what could be or the fears that could break her spirit. Lily stood frozen at the door, her mind racing as she processed the man standing before her. He was older than her father, with a weathered face that told stories of a life lived in the shadows of time. His clothes were simple but gave off an air of dignity that caught her off guard. There was something magnetic about him, and she felt a pull she couldn't ignore. Who are you? She finally managed, her voice shaking slightly. The letters fell from her grip, tumbling to the floor like secrets escaping. The man took a step closer, his dark eyes searching hers. I'm Michael, he said calmly. A friend of your father's from the past. I've known him longer than you. Lily's heart thudded loudly in her chest. Why are you here? She barely recognized the coldness in her own tone. What do you know about that money? More than you can imagine, he replied, his gaze softening. Jack has a story, a history that shaped him into the man you know. He has been carrying this burden for too long, it's time you understood. Lily folded her arms, summoning a barrier against the swell of anxiety. She wasn't sure she wanted to dig up her father's past. What if it shattered her image of him, everything she had always believed? But she could feel the weight of those letters still scattered below, each one a key to unlocking a hidden door. Why should I trust you? She asked, battling the storm of emotions swirling within her. The late evening light flickered through the garage window, casting shadows that danced around them. Because everything Jack did, he did for you. Michael stepped closer, his voice lowering. He believed you would be able to fulfill the dreams he couldn't, dreams he lost to war, to choices he made when he was just trying to survive. He is afraid he'll pass on his regrets to you if you don't know the truth. Lily felt the breath hitch in her throat. Each word was a pulse against her heart, awakening the unknown ache within her. What kind of dreams? She pressed, her voice barely a whisper. In a gentle motion, Michael knelt before her, gathering the fallen letters. He wanted to break the cycle, Lily. You have a gift that he didn't. You're different. You have the chance to create a life without the chains that held him down. As she watched him, that flicker of hope ignited within her once more. She longed to understand. Maybe Michael held the answers to the dreams she dared to aspire to, the ones that whispered to her during late-night moments when the world felt only half asleep. Tell me, she urged, the resolve thickening her words. I need to know. The door creaked again, drawing her gaze, only to see the storm winds beginning to subside. It was as if the heavens were listening, granting her a moment of clarity. Michael's eyes narrowed slightly, as if he were deciding how much to reveal. It's a story of sacrifice, of loss, but also of hope. You'll understand why he gave you the gift, and how it can change not just your life, but his too. Just then, the sound of a car's engine revving in the distance broke the quiet. Lily's heart raced again, but this time with a sense of urgency. Is it dangerous? She asked, a shiver coursing through her. Michael looked at her intently, his answer hanging heavy in the air. Only if you're unprepared for it. You have to ask yourself what you really want, Lily. Are you ready to uncover the truth? With the weight of the past looming large, she knew she stood on the brink of transformation. The journey ahead promised revelation but was infused with risk, and she had to decide if she would take that first step. As the shadows lengthened in the garage, she took a deep breath, eyes locked onto Michael, anticipation curling in her gut. What awaited her beyond the door? Would she embrace the truth, or retreat to the safety of her known world? The answer felt just out of reach, yet impossibly close. Lily's heart thumped loudly in her chest once more, each beat a call for courage. I want to know, but I'm scared. Then you're already on the right path, Michael replied, a hint of reassurance flickering in his eyes. She extended her hand, the threshold to her father's hidden truth stretching out before her, and she took a step forward. What lay waiting on the other side, a legacy or a nightmare? Lily stepped into the garage, feeling the low hum of anticipation thrumming in her chest. The flickering light cast thin shadows over the walls, and as she took another step, the air felt thick with unspoken words. She held her breath, bracing herself for the truth Michael promised. What happened to my dad? She asked, her voice steadying despite the quiver of apprehension running through her. The question lingered, heavy and filled with the weight of the unknown. Michael straightened, the letters still in his hands weighted with meaning. He lost more than you realize, Lily. The money, it's a symbol of sacrifices he made. Your father thought wealth would help you escape the burdens he carried. Lily's mind raced back to her childhood, thinking of birthday parties, of laughter and love. She had never questioned his work ethic, nor the long hours spent away from their home. But now those memories sat under a gray veil, twinkling with an eerie dissonance. So this money, it's connected to his past. Yes, Michael nodded, his gaze unwavering. Jack has faced real demons. The war changed him. It took away a part of his soul. He worked hard to create a life for you, hoping that you wouldn't have to endure the struggles he faced. The revelation hit her, suffocating and electrifying all at once. But why do this now? Because he was afraid of what would happen if you never knew. Keeping secrets can sometimes be the heaviest burden of all. His voice was raw, sincere, a plea not just to her but almost to himself. Suddenly, her hands were trembling. Would this knowledge reshape everything she understood about her father? The thought hit her like a wave, crashing against her defenses. What if I regret knowing? What if it changes how I see him? Michael's expression softened, and he took another step closer, his tone turning earnest. Sometimes understanding is what brings peace. The truth might be painful, but it has the power to heal. You can't carry the weight of another's regrets. Her heart whispered back, a tumult of emotion swelling inside her: fear, curiosity, and an innate yearning for connection. I can't do this alone, she admitted quietly, the intensity of the moment forcing her to confront more than just her father's secrets. What if I uncover something terrible? Michael regarded her carefully, then said, you have more strength than you think. And I'll be here, to help you navigate through it. You're not alone, Lily. She nodded, feeling the weight of his words settle into her, an anchor amidst the storm she was about to face. Okay, she breathed, courage igniting within. What do I need to do? Let's start with the letters, he said, gently lifting them from the floor. They're an opening into his life, and they hold the key to understanding all those sacrifices. They'll guide you. As the last rays of daylight slipped out of the garage, Lily felt an unexpected warmth surrounding her, a flicker of hope amidst uncertainty. She reached for the letters, their tan surfaces crisp under her fingertips. Each one seemed to pulse with untold stories, waiting to unveil their mysteries, but just as she began to open the first envelope, an ominous roar echoed outside, a car pulling into the driveway with an unsettling urgency. Her heart seized, the familiar sound looming larger than life. What was that? Lily's voice trembled, her resolve crackling under the weight of dread. I don't know, but it may not be safe, Michael said, his eyes darting to the garage door. We have to be cautious. There might be those who want to keep the truth buried. What if this was just the beginning of a much larger storm? The shadows deepened, and as Lily's fingers trembled against the paper, she couldn't shake the feeling that hidden truths were clawing their way to the surface. Could she summon the strength to go on? Or would the terrifying reality that loomed outside push her back into silence? Lily took a shaky breath. Could she turn the page, and find what was waiting for her on the other side? Lily's heart raced as the car engine purred to a stop outside the garage. The world around her narrowed, and the smell of oil and gasoline suddenly felt confining, almost suffocating. She had to focus. Before she could think twice, she tucked the letters beneath her arm and stepped back, her impulse urging her to hide. Michael, her voice barely escaped in a whisper. I know, he said, glancing toward the door with grim determination. We need to be quiet. If someone, the door creaked as it swung open, and the light from outside spilled in like cold water. A tall figure appeared, silhouetted against the fading twilight. It took a moment for her eyes to adjust, but when they did, unease settled deep in her gut. Jack, his expression was tense, shadowed. The worry lines on his forehead carved deeper than Lily remembered, almost as if they had aged him overnight. Lily. What are you doing here? He stepped into the garage, his voice laced with a mixture of panic and relief. She hesitated, weighing the words. The truth sat heavy on her tongue. I was talking to Michael. She noticed a flicker of recognition in his eyes, and in that instant, everything changed. The air turned thick with unuttered accusations, thick enough to cut through the unease that clung like fog. I don't want you to get involved in this, Lily, Jack snapped, his voice rising just enough to shatter the fragile atmosphere. There are things you don't understand, things I never wanted for you. Then tell me. She shot back, anger bubbling beneath her surface. The words felt new, empowering, almost like stepping into her own skin. Her father's worries felt misplaced. She had the right to know. I'm tired of being kept in the dark. I need to know the truth about why everything feels so wrong. Michael and Jack exchanged a glance. A silent war raged between them. Finally, Jack took a deep breath. You shouldn't have to bear this burden. Her father's refusal to look her in the eyes felt like a punch to the gut. But I want to understand. I need to know what's happening. All these years, were they lies? Jack's brow furrowed, conflict making his gaze dart to the floor. It's complicated. There are consequences to uncovering buried truths. What could be worse than living a lie? Lily pressed, her heart thundering in her chest. The letters felt heavier, and in that moment, they weren't just pieces of paper. They were her hope, her connection to who her father truly was. They could hurt you. And I won't let that happen, he said, voice thick with emotion. The anger melted a little, revealing a flicker of vulnerability. I've protected you from this chaos for so long, but at that moment, the chaos was here, standing right in front of them. Lily let it spill over her, it coursed through her veins, urging her forward. You can't keep protecting me from the truth. I deserve to know what you went through. And then, a strange stillness enveloped them. The shadows in the garage seemed to lean in, listening, waiting for his reply. Jack's breathing was taut, deep with hesitation. Lily could feel the weight of the world pressing down on all three of them, yet, before he could respond, a sound pierced the charged silence outside, a sharp yelling, followed by the distant thud of footsteps advancing toward the garage. Lily's heart sank as panic surged through her, and she glanced frantically at Michael. What if they're here for the letters? What if they're after the truth? Jack's face hardened, and in that moment, she saw the man. He was worn and weary, but fiercely protective. We need to leave, now. Every instinct screamed at her not to back down, but the urgency in his eyes sparked fear in her heart. As the footsteps grew louder, she clutched the letters tightly, feeling their energy pulse against her palm. Lily, trust me, Jack said, urgency flowing into his voice. We'll figure this out, but not here. Not now. With her heart pounding in her ears, she understood. The truths she sought were still hidden, but chaos was at the door. Could she leave now and still find the answers she craved? Dread nodded in her stomach as she turned to Michael for guidance. But the message was clear, moving forward meant confronting not just their fears, it meant stepping into the unknown. Together. As they slipped out of the shadows, uncertainty loomed. What awaited them outside? Would they keep the secrets hidden or finally face the storm head-on? Jack ushered them outside, the darkness swallowing them whole as they emerged from the garage. The air was sharp, tinged with the faint scent of rain as anticipation crackled around them. Each step felt like a leap into murky waters, the echoes of the footsteps behind them fading into a backdrop of urgency and dread. Where do we go? Lily whispered, glancing over her shoulder, half expecting shadows to chase them. Michael's grip on her arm tightened, a silent promise that they wouldn't let fear divide them. Jack led the way, his movements quick and deliberate as they ducked behind the old wooden shed. We need to lay low until I can get us out of here. His voice dropped to a low murmur, but the weight of his words hung in the air like a fog. What is happening? You said there's chaos. What does that even mean? Lily felt her heart thudding against her ribs, each beat reminding her that time was slipping away. Trust me, there's too much at stake right now. Jack's eyes darted past them, vigilant and tense. We can't talk here. But Lily was done dealing with silence. You can't keep shutting me out, Dad. I know something's wrong, and I need to understand. I won't let you keep me in the dark anymore. He looked at her, his expression softening for just a breath, revealing the love buried beneath layers of worry. Lily, if I told you everything, you might regret it. I've done everything I can to shield you. But maybe that's exactly the problem. You've only made this worse. Her voice quivered with frustration. The letters felt heavy against her chest, and in that moment, she made a decision. I'm going to find out what's really going on, whether you help me or not. Jack opened his mouth, but the words didn't come. Instead, the sound of hurried footsteps grew louder nearby, a reminder that time was running out. Let us move. He urged, grabbing her hand and pulling her toward the dense trees bordering the yard. The tall trunks loomed like sentinels, their branches swaying gently in the breeze. Michael matched their pace, his eyes scanning the surroundings. What about the letters? We can't leave those behind. They could be our only leverage. Jack slowed for a moment, his eyes narrowing. You're right. But we need to create space first, then we'll decide what to do with them. As they reached the tree line, everything around them fell silent. But the silence was deceptive. Tension crackled in the air. The thrill of danger made Lily's blood rush, but her fear clung like a shadow. What if they were caught? What if the truth was worse than she imagined? Just then, her phone buzzed in her pocket, a startling intrusion into the quiet. Heart racing, she fished it out. The screen lit up with a familiar name, Clara. With shaking hands, she answered. Clara. I'm Lily. I just heard something. They're looking for you. Clara's voice was frantic, the urgency unmistakable. You have to come home. It's about the money, and your father. It's bigger than you know. What are you talking about? What money? Lily's mind spun, gears grinding but failing to connect the dots. There's talk about a deal gone wrong, and I think they're targeting you, Lily. You need to get out before Clara could finish. The line went dead. The weight of the world crashed over her like an avalanche. They're targeting me? Why? She gasped, looking at her father. Jack's expression darkened, a mix of fear and anger. We need to move now, before they realize you're missing, he said. She darted a glance at Michael, his eyes wide with worry. Chaos was rising fast, and the truth was slipping through her fingers like sand. Would she be able to follow it before it completely vanished? Then, from the edge of the property, voices began to call out, menacing and authoritative. Time stood still as she felt the heat of illumination from flashlights cut through the treetops. A cold pit formed in her stomach. What if the truth was more terrifying than she had ever imagined? Lily squeezed the letters tighter, feeling their weight, then took a breath, knowing the next choice could shatter or set her free. Where do we hide? She whispered, her pulse quickening as their world tilted on the edge of discovery. Over there. Jack pointed into the tangled underbrush. There's an old tree hollow. We can squeeze in there until they pass. Are you sure? Lily hesitated, eyeing the dark gap between the roots. It felt too small, too confining. But with the voices closing in, fear drowned out her doubt. Michael pulled her toward the hollow. We don't have time to waste. Go. Lily crouched as she slipped inside the hollow, the cool, damp earth pressing against her back. A few moments later, Jack followed, with Michael squeezing in last. It was cramped, and the smell of earth and moss mixed with the adrenaline coursing through her veins. She could hear their breaths, shallow and quick, like a drum echoing in her ears. Stay silent. Jack whispered, his voice barely a hum. Minutes stretched endlessly as they listened to the voices grow louder. There were shouts and commands, punctuated by the flashing of lights weaving through the trees. Lily could feel her heart skipping like a stone over water, rising faster with each passing second. What do you think they want? Michael murmured. Lily wanted to respond, to voice her jumbled thoughts, but no words came. The letters felt heavier in her pocket, pulsing with secrets that held the potential to unravel their lives. Just hold on, Jack urged, his face tense in the dim light. We'll be out of here soon. But the voices outside were getting closer. Lily felt the panic clawing at her insides. What if they found them? What if they knew the truth about the letters? Then, unexpectedly, Clara's final words echoed in her mind. Money. Targeting. Was this all connected? There was something buried beneath the surface of her father's discomfort, something jagged and dangerous. It's all about the money, isn't it? She whispered, her voice breaking the silence. Jack turned to her, his eyes widening in a mix of surprise and concern. What do you mean? Clara said something went wrong. That people are after what you have. You didn't just leave the past behind, did you? His face hardened, shadows flickering across it. You don't understand, this isn't the time, but what if it is? She shot back, desperation making her bold. What if understanding is what keeps us alive? Outside, the voices shifted, fading for just a moment into hushed murmurs. Her heart raced again. Would they leave? Jack hesitated, and in that moment of vulnerability, she felt the door crack open. Please, Dad. Just tell me everything. Maybe the truth will help us find a way out. He took a deep breath, and for the first time, she saw the exhaustion etched deeper in his features. The battle within him was clear, protecting her versus the need to confront their reality. She could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him like a heavy blanket. I thought I could keep you safe, but it hasn't worked, Jack said finally, his voice low. There are things I did, decisions I made. That the voices broke in again, sharper this time. Search over there. A nearby thud echoed through the trees, followed by a snapping branch. Jack's eyes widened with urgency. We can't stay here, but the panic rose in Lily. What did you do, Dad? What is going on? Listen, Jack said urgently, ignoring her question. No more talking. We have to move. Panic surged. Lily squeezed her eyes shut, wishing for answers, for clarity. What had her father done? And why did it feel like shadows were creeping closer, closing in around them? Where do we go next? She breathed, fear slipping from the edges of her heart right into her throat. And then she saw the flashlight sweep by their hiding spot, moments away from discovering them. Would the truth ever come out? Or would they remain trapped in this limbo of uncertainty, forever pushed into the shadows? The tension was suffocating inside the hollow. Each heartbeat echoed like a drum, each breath felt louder than thunder. Lily glanced at her father, Jack, whose face was strained with worry. His hand was clenched tightly, knuckles white against the darkness. Go. He whispered sharply, urgency spilling from his tone like water from a cracked dam. Michael cautiously poked his head out first, scanning the forest floor, searching for any sign of danger. It's clear, he said, but the unease in his voice suggested otherwise. They were still in peril. Jack squeezed Lily's shoulder, a silent promise that everything would be okay. But they both knew that was a fragile illusion. We're moving now. Stick close. Lily nodded, her chest tightening. She wished she could turn back time, even if just a few days, when life had felt normal. The conversations over dinner felt trivial compared to the heavy secret they now carried. At that moment, the letters in her pocket felt like a ticking bomb, ready to detonate. They emerged from the hollow, crouching low to stay hidden beneath the thick canopy. The air outside was cool, but it did little to soothe the heat of fear flushing her cheeks. Shadows danced among the trees as their pursuers drew near, their voices a dissonant chorus that heightened the urgency of their escape. Where do we go? Lily whispered frantically, her eyes darting around. Every shadow seemed to teem with unseen threats. What if they find us? What if just focus, Lily? Focus. Jack commanded, his voice steady but firm. Follow me. Without hesitation, he darted into the nearby thickets, branches scratching at their skin. Each rustle felt like an alarm bell, warning them of impending doom. Michael took the lead, Jack close behind, leaving Lily to follow, her heart pounding wildly with every step. Do you think they know what we have? Michael asked, glancing back over his shoulder. Lily shook her head, clinging to the words Clara had said. They must. Clara mentioned a target. Whatever it is, it's dangerous. Jack halted suddenly, and they tumbled into a small clearing. Breathless and heart-racing, he turned to engage her gaze. Listen, the truth about the letters, it's more than you know. This isn't just about you or me, this reaches deep into things I hope to forget. What do you mean? Lily pressed, sensing the boiling tension in her chest. She needed answers. Before he could respond, blinding lights broke through the trees, illuminating the clearing, revealing them like game caught in a snare. The voices she feared drew closer, sharper now, with a hint of excitement over the prospects of what they might find. Run! Jack shouted, and they darted again, limbs pumping, hearts racing. Panic surged as they veered off the path into the underbrush. But with each stride deeper into the forest, the sense of dread only grew. Who were their pursuers? What dangers lay ahead? And what dark secrets were tied to the letters? Jack's words hung in the air, heavy with weight. Could they truly survive the revelations that might come? What other facets of their past would claw their way back into their lives during their desperate escape? Every glance over her shoulder only deepened her fear. The shadows felt like they were closing in. She had to get the truth. Not just for her sake, but for their family's future. Wait! Lily called out, her breath steaming in the cold air. What's the plan? How can we fight back? In that moment of hesitation, all hope rested on their next move. Jack paused, looking into Lily's terrified eyes, grappling with a decision that could shape the rest of their lives. And just like that, the forest fell eerily silent, the only sound that of their anxious breaths. What awaited them in the dark depths of the woods? Would they emerge stronger or be forever lost in a fight they never saw coming? The silence hung heavy, pressing in on them like a thick fog. Lily's heart raced, teetering on the edge of panic. Jack shifted his weight, scanning the trees, his expression a blend of determination and dread. We can't stay here, he muttered, urgency creeping into his voice again. Lily felt the weight of the letters in her pocket, an anchor to the mounting chaos. Dad, tell me what's happening. What secrets could possibly be worth all this? He hesitated, understanding the fear etched across her face. The memories of their past echoed in his mind, painful reminders he had hoped to bury. I'll explain everything, but we can't talk here. They could be right behind us. Michael, still fidgeting, grabbed Lily's arm. We have to move. It's not safe. If they're coming for the letters, we need a plan. Right, Jack said, trying to keep his voice steady. Follow the creek. It'll lead us to the old cabin. Lily's mind was racing. The cabin? It felt like a whisper from an ancient story she had once heard as a child, but now it loomed as a solemn destination. The darkness felt alive, branches clawing at her as they pushed forward, each step igniting the fear that danced in her chest. As they moved, the muffled sounds of their pursuers underscores the urgency of their escape. Shadows darted past, creating the illusion of movement in every corner of her vision. What if they were closing in already? Just keep your eyes on the path, Jack urged, his voice cutting through her spiraling thoughts. The bubbling sound of the creek soon reached them, a cold and clear rush slicing through the tension. They breathed as one, forced to find a moment of clarity amidst the chaos. The cool water felt refreshing against Lily's skin, a moment of reassurance in an otherwise stifling atmosphere. The creek was their lifeline. They moved quickly but quietly, each step a deliberate effort to remain unseen. Jack led them, the branches parting reluctantly for his passage, while Michael occasionally glanced back as if the shadows were stalking them. Suddenly, Lily stumbled, her foot shifting on a rock slick with moss. She fell forward, the sound of the water crashing around her drowning out her gasp. Lily! Jack's voice was frantic as he spun around, reaching for her. I'm fine, she said quickly, brushing off the dampness. But the moment felt heavy, she could sense the weight of her father's concerns bearing down heavily. Jack knelt down, grasping her shoulders firmly. "Lily, listen to me. Whatever happens, just remember I love you. No matter the past or what we face, we're in this together." His words warmed her, grounding her in the moment. "I know, Dad, but I need more than just love to understand what's going on. Why couldn't you tell me sooner?" Her voice cracked as the need for truth battled with her heart's instinct to trust him. Just as Jack opened his mouth to answer, a sharp crack of a branch echoed through the trees, cutting their moment short. They froze. "Go. Now." Jack hissed, shoving Lily forward. The gravity of his command filled the air with an urgency that left no room for hesitation. The trio surged onward, water splashing beneath their feet, but Lily's mind raced, wanting to find out what secrets had brought them here and who they were truly up against. They broke through the trees, and her heart dropped as she faced the cabin, the weathered wood and peeling paint offering little comfort against the encroaching darkness. Is anyone even inside? Lily's nerves prickled with uncertainty. Jack took a breath, eyeing the door. "We'll find out soon enough." He exchanged a look with Michael, as if gauging their next move. With a hesitant push, Jack opened the door, the creak sounding loud in the quiet forest. "Let us go. Hurry." Inside, shadows loomed, but the lingering scent of dust and old wood filled the air, a reminder of forgotten memories. Would they find solace here or encounter the demons of their past? Lily's heart raced with fear and hope as the door swung shut behind them. As the weight of silence enveloped them once more, a thought flickered in her mind: what awaits them in the darkness? Would the truth release them or entangle them further? The door creaked closed, leaving them in dim light, shadows hugging the corners of the small cabin. The air smelled stale, mixed with the sharpness of aged wood. Lily's heart thudded loudly in her chest, the silence sharp enough to cut. She glanced around, searching for something familiar, something to ease her unease. "Okay, we're safe for now," Jack whispered, moving deeper into the cabin. The flickering sunlight cast ghostly shapes on the walls, and Lily couldn't shake the feeling that they were just temporary guests here, too. Michael stood by the door, an anxious ball of energy. "What if they find us?" His words tumbled out in a hurried breath, his eyes darting toward the window. Jack shook his head, reassured. "They won't. Not yet. We need to figure out our next move." He moved toward a dusty table, running a hand over its surface. Lily took a moment to steady herself. "Dad," she began, her voice steadying as she felt determination take root in her chest, "you said you'd explain everything. What's really going on? Why are those people after us?" Jack held her gaze, the secrets he had buried deep bubbling just beneath the surface. "Lily, I was hoping to keep you safe from all of this. I should have told you sooner." "We're not kids anymore," she interjected, frustration lacing her tone. "We deserve the truth. It's..." He took a deep breath, glancing at Michael before continuing. "It's about our family. The letters you found, they're tied to a past I thought I had left behind. They're more than just words. They hold information that could change everything." "What do you mean?" Before Jack could respond, a loud thud echoed outside, rattling the cabin. Michael jumped, instinctively moving towards the window. "Stay back," Jack commanded, his voice low but urgent as he stepped in front of them, protectively positioning himself between the noise and Lily. Lily's heart raced, the fear churning in her stomach. "Look at the letters, Dad. What are they trying to hide?" Jack's eyes flickered with something unreadable. Was it regret? Fear? That information could destroy people, powerful people. Another noise cut through, this one closer, sharper, like footsteps on the porch. "Run," Jack said, urgency breaking through the tension. Lily felt adrenaline surge through her body. "Where?" Jack pointed to a trapdoor at the far end of the cabin, hidden beneath a pile of wood. "We have to get below." Michael's movements were frantic as he hurried to shift the wood away. "Quick, hurry." Lily's stomach twisted, every instinct screaming against hiding, but she had to trust her dad. The truth could come later, survival was all that mattered now. They squeezed through the narrow opening as the noise outside grew louder, echoing through the cabin walls. Jack slammed the door just as Lily caught a glimpse of figures moving outside. In the darkness below, Lily struggled to catch her breath. The air was damp and cold around her. "What happens if they come in?" "Then we'll be ready," Jack replied. The determination in his voice gave her a flicker of hope amidst the overwhelming fear. Down in the dark, the reality felt heavier. "Will you finally tell me everything when we're safe?" she asked, her voice low, almost a whisper. Jack paused, the weight of her question hanging between them. "I promise you, Lily. As soon as we're safe, I will tell you everything. But for now, we wait." As the shouts grew louder above, Lily's heart sank with the weight of uncertainty. What lay hidden in her father's past, and would the truth be worth the danger? Just then, the outside door creaked open, and a voice called out. It wasn't a familiar one, but it sent chills down her spine. "They're here. Find them." The darkness below felt more suffocating now. What horrors were they truly facing? And how much longer could they hide? The air was thick with tension as Lily, Jack, and Michael huddled in the cramped space beneath the cabin. Fear clawed at Lily's insides, but deep within that raw panic was a spark of determination. She could sense the shadows stirring above, hands reaching for the truth that had been hidden for so long. "Listen, Lily," Jack whispered, his voice a strained promise, "once we get through this, I'll tell you everything. You have to trust me." "Trust you?" she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "You've spent my entire life keeping me in the dark. I need to know now." The weight of her words hung heavy in the small, subterranean room. She felt the roar of her heart pounding against her ribcage. "Now isn't the time," Jack hissed, urgency thick as molasses. Outside, footsteps thudded heavily, mixed with sharp commands barked from an unfamiliar voice. "We have to be ready." Suddenly the cabin floor shook as a heavy weight landed above them. "Search everywhere," the voice demanded. A cold shiver swept over Lily as the reality of their situation hit her. They weren't just running from shadows, they were facing something dark and dangerous rooted in her father's past. "They're coming," Michael murmured, panic breaking his composure. "What if they find these letters? What if they realize what you did, Jack?" "I did what I had to do." Jack's voice was fierce yet strained. "What I had to protect you from. I can't let the truth destroy everything we have." But Lily's resolve only grew. "Dad, you can't keep running. Whatever you might have done, whatever they want, it cannot be worse than living a lie. We deserve the truth." At that instant, the trapdoor creaked ominously. The brilliant beam of a flashlight pierced through the darkness above. Every muscle in Lily's body tensed. The moment of confrontation had arrived, the moment that would either lead them to liberation or plunge them deeper into danger. "Found them!" Someone shouted from above, a malevolent hiss that left no doubt about their intentions. Lily clutched the letters against her chest, feeling their power surge through her. This was it. Jack's face softened, fear mingling with determination. "No matter what happens next, Lily, I love you. This is bigger than just us. If you want the truth, you must be prepared to face it." Her heart swelled. In that moment, she realized her father wasn't just a soldier filled with regrets and burdens, he was a man desperate to protect his family. "I'm ready," she whispered fiercely, the weight of those letters feeling like a mantle of courage. "Let them come." Without another word, Jack readied himself, taking a deep breath as he readied the snap of their reality to come crashing down. "Michael, get ready to move back. Lily, stay close to me." Lily could see a light flicker and shift as they were now surrounded by the sound of footsteps descending. The air turned electric with adrenaline. "Brace yourself," Jack warned, as he swung the trapdoor open with a sudden lurch, light flooding the dark space. As they emerged from hiding, the chaos of the cabin clashed with their senses. The men outside, gruff and determined, cast sharp gazes their way. Snapshots of apprehension grazed Jack's face, but Lily felt the pressure of the moment translate into resolve. She could not hide any longer. "Stop!" she shouted, stepping forward, heart racing. "You want the letters? You want the truth? Here it is." Before she could process the looks of shock that passed across the men's faces, she stepped further into the light, exposing the letters. "My father is not your enemy. This is my choice. I have the right to know, and I will face the past. I want to run." The men hesitated, confusion etched across their features. She could almost hear the gears turning in their minds. It was a chance. Maybe this act of defiance would turn the tide. Jack took her hand, fear lacing through his grip. "Lily, no." But it was too late. They had both crossed that line. The unknown had been invited in, and they could no longer retreat. Suddenly, rising voices echoed behind her. "Lily!" Michael shouted, stepping backward as if trying to shield her. "Watch out!" Then things exploded, the sudden rush of chaos as voices clashed, and shadows became a swirling tempest. "Get back!" one of the men yelled, raising his weapon as panic swept through the clearing. Jack acted without hesitation, thrusting forward protectively, but in that moment of chaos, something tore through the air, a truth sharp enough to cut the tension, strong enough to redirect the course of fear. "You're wrong. You don't know what he did. You don't know how far we've come." There it was, the voice of clarity amidst the storm. Lily felt it rise from deep within her. The power of the truth galvanized her as she realized her voice could carry weight. "My father's past does not define him. It is his love for me that dictates his choices." In an electrifying split second, the men behind the shadows faltered. Uncertainty flickered across their expressions as her words navigated through the tumult. "Every secret he's kept was born out of fear for my safety." The crowd began murmuring, questioning, the tension easing slightly under the pressure of her revelation. "No more lies." In that moment, Jack's taut face softened, awe mingling with pride. Lily felt free, no longer just a shadow in the backdrop of her father's life. She took a step closer to him, feeling his warmth and knowing their hearts were now entwined. The lead man, caught in the unexpected integrity of her words, inhaled sharply. "You can't just." But another, older figure emerged from the ranks, cutting through the uncertainty as if he were an unexpected beacon. "She's right. This silence, it's been a poison. Perhaps we need not pursue the past that has haunted us for so long." The air shifted as their worlds began to collide, what had once felt inevitable began bubbling with new possibilities. Lily's heart beat in furious hope. Can we begin again? Can we transform this fear into understanding? Can we rewrite the story? The group fell silent, contemplating the weight of her revelation. She clung to the hope sparking inside them all, a chance for healing, a chance for truth. Then, like a tide, it began to shift. Someone nodded, and then another. Jack's hand tightened around Lily's, and she knew they had stepped into a new era, a truth-driven future where their choices could set them free. "I'm ready," Jack spoke softly, his voice resonating with newfound strength. Lily smiled through fresh, brave tears. Perhaps they would face storms ahead, but together, they would navigate through the wreckage. The past couldn't be rewritten, but they would face it head-on, no longer haunted, but defined by the strength of their love and the courage that had finally brought light to their family. "We'll face whatever comes next," she declared firmly. As the sun dipped low on the horizon, a renewed hope flooded their hearts, igniting a path toward liberation. "Let us do this together." The storm had led them here, and now, they would take on whatever awaited them, fearlessly stepping into the dawn of a future filled with promise. As the gathering light shone brightly through the trees, a new chapter that felt terrifying yet invigorating unfurled before them. This was not an end, but a beginning, where truth transformed fear into a profound bond. "Now that you've taken this incredible journey with Lily and Jack, here's your chance to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. You need to subscribe now, leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the adventures coming. It makes a huge difference. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about the ending. How do you feel after this journey? And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let's spread the love.